All right. Hi, everyone. How are you all? I welcome you here on Kind Theory's live session with Maisie Soetantyo. And I'm so excited to have Maisie here because she is proudly autistic and a self advocate, and she's done a lot of things for the autistic community. One of the things that I would like to highlight about Macy is that she is the founder of Autism Career Pathways, and I'm really excited about one of her upcoming, well, current projects actually
Current
now.
projects.
Current projects, yes.
Yeah,
Macy, I would like you to, kind of give a little brief information about yourself. And
sure.
then there'll be a couple of questions that I'll ask you back and forth, and we'll go from there. How does that sound?
Yeah, that sounds great. Thank you so much for having me today on a weekend. Hi, everyone. Um, my name is Macy. So I am actually a long time autism educational consultant and parent coach, and now an inclusivity trainer. And I have been working with autistic individuals for a long time, 3 decades. So that's about 30 years. So I feel I love working with autistic people of all ages. It's just, I think, my strength. I think it makes sense after my formal diagnosis that I understand other fellow autistic individuals because I speak their language, if you want to, if you can say that, and because I provide relationship based training, I watch my clients grew up and they have worked very, very hard all their lives. And they all have developed very interesting and excellent specialized interests and talents. And yet, when they're applying, for example, just a summer job, they're not able to compete with other neurotypical job seekers because our communication preferences are very different than the neuromajorities, and we're not really good at selling our strength. And I watch my clients, some have a college degree, and being able to make it in their real world, in terms of employment, housing, being part of the community, it's still a struggle. As you know, 1 in 44 children in the US, according to CDC, will be diagnosed with autism. And as of today, about 5.4 million autistic adults are unemployed or underemployed. And that rate is, I think, higher because after a while, autistic adults just stop looking for a job, because they fail so many times, or when they do get a job, it's just for a short period of time and they don't get the accommodations they need. And eventually they will hit a burnout, and then they have to start over again, right? So we have this massive problem, I think, that we're facing globally, not just in the US, uh, about how do we get this world ready for autistic workforce. And that's why I started a nonprofit in 2019, because I want to uh, create creative pathways towards meaningful employment for neurodivergent people, including non-speaking individuals, as well as people who are more significantly impacted by their neurodivergent conditions, whatever that may be, right? So I'm a big believer that meaningful employment and quality of lives look different for everyone. I do not want to work, for example, a 9 to 5 job uh, in a certain environment with many other people. I've done that in the past, and I wasn't successful at it. So this is really the mission of our nonprofit, is to educate our community at large, uh, our community and businesses who actually are not touched by autism in any way, and to empower them to create accommodations and learn how to be a more neurodivergent friendly business space, um, so that in the future autistic kids can have a better lives and opportunities. And the other way we want to do this is we're building a platform um, to provide training for mentors, whether you are part of the community, or maybe you are a retiree, or maybe you work in a company and you want to learn how to be a mentor to a neurodivergent intern or uh, employee or something like this, right? So it's we that's what our platform is going to be focusing, is providing training for mentors.
Maisie, I
Hmm.
just want to let you know that, first of all, congratulations on everything that you're doing. I'm so proud of everything that you're doing, because it is two things that I would like to highlight is that a lot of neurodivergent people, if they, number one, a lot of them are unemployed, because they're unable to, sustain their employment because of their accommodations and support
Yeah,
needs not being met.
right.
Those of us who are employed are usually underemployed,
Correct.
and it's not fair.
Mhm.
It's not fair in the sense that neurodivergent people have as much right to the
Mhm.
world, to everything, to you know the world has to be accessible for all of us, and
Correct.
we're trying to make that happen. And so, I'm in awe of everything that you're doing, with it
Well,
being.
thank you. But I haven't done anything because I need to get our communities and companies and businesses buy into, because I can't do this alone.
That's very
Yeah.
true, and which is why, we are having this session. We are here to support you, and we're going to work towards. Part of what Kind Theory does is that we
Uh-huh.
form meaningful partnership with community organizations, and we
Right.
connect them with, a network of neurodivergent professionals,
Hmm.
to help train those organizations and employees, and
Hmm.
enable them to be more inclusive. And
Hmm.
so this is where you play an extremely important role. One of the things that, before moving towards discussing this further, I would like to
Hmm.
highlight that today is April 30th. So we're, nearing the end of the Autism Acceptance Month.
Correct.
And I think one of the important questions that I want to have at this time is
Mm.
that, how would you define the difference between awareness and acceptance, and how do you feel that taking that step is necessary to have truly inclusive environments?
Yes. Yes. I think that's a very important question, because I think probably at this time, just society in general, they have an awareness or a little bit of knowledge about autism or Down syndrome, or just different types of uh, um, mental health diagnosis. There are so many different kinds of neurodivergence. So I think awareness is a little bit of knowing to me. Maybe reading a feel good article once in a while. Certainly in the month of April, autism is featured a lot. And maybe coming across a feel good short video on your Facebook feed, or but I think to really step up means that take a moment to really um, become a little bit more proactive, if I can say that, right? So from awareness to acceptance, meaning acceptance means like understanding that there's something I can do myself to be able to contribute. And the first step is really catching it yourself and be able to think about it, like, what can I do as a mom as a community member, as a teacher, as a co-worker, when it comes to neurodiversity movement, is there something that I can do? One thing that I say this to my husband all the time: we need to have more dinner conversations about inclusivity. you know um and if two parents of autistic children, your autistic children, can learn how to be there to support uh, everyone around them,
Yeah.
right? Those conversations need to just be talked about. Talk about different scenarios. What would you do in addition to modeling it? You know, because I think inclusivity, what it is, and how to act on it, you have to start as early as possible. you know so that's just an example how you can really be in that space where not only you accept, but it needs to move towards autism empowerment
Yes.
as the next uh, marker or milestones, if you want to call it that, where people have to be part of the solution. You can't just do all the talking. You have to walk actually walk it, right? So what does that mean to me as a person, and how can I influence change? And it doesn't matter if it's just a small change. Having conversations with your children, I think it's a great way to really plant seeds and help them to become more compassionate um, human being. So that's just an example. We have to set uh, good examples for our kids. I also, part of it is asking questions. If something doesn't feel comfortable, you push through it, you ask questions, you learn from neurodivergent people. You understand what kinds of internal ableism that you have when it comes to neurodivergent people, and stereotypical things that are usually attached to autistic people.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So one thing that I'd like to, kind of touch upon here, when you were talking about, autistic people and people with Down syndrome and
Mm-hmm.
people of other kind of neurodivergence as well.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that I've, found to be very prevalent in our society is a very pathologizing view of these conditions. There,
Correct.
I mean, I'm not denying the fact that there is a medical aspect. Nobody's denying the fact, but there is
Mm-hmm.
so much more to, us than just that. And I
Mm-hmm.
feel like that, it's just a myopic view that the world is focusing on, and
Mm-hmm.
this is why, it leads me to my next question, that
Mm-hmm.
what is the neurodiversity perspective of autism?
Yes.
This is the buzzword going on, but a lot of people are
Yeah.
not familiar with what actually it highlights. What is the
Right.
neurodiversity perspective of autism?
Well, the unfortunately, what is deeply rooted into uh, education and therapeutic approaches, and also just an overall view of neurodivergent people, it's still pretty much based on very old research that focus on changing the behaviors, training neurodivergent people to fit neurotypical expectations. And this old model, it's very well researched, and it has a large body of evidence as the gold standards the moment someone receives a diagnosis, right?
Yeah.
So I think the problem with that, and being in this field, serving and working with autistic children who are now adults in their 30s, I see the disconnect, and I see what is missing and where we fail as well intentioned adult guides who try to do our best to follow what we have learned in school, and not knowing that, you know, when we're working with people with a different mind, you cannot change that mind. You know, you can only influence change. And you, first of all, you have to be that role model first, right? And the that is the deficit model, when you start from a place where you just assume the person is not able to do it,
Exactly.
right? So you start without presuming competence. That's
Yeah,
number one. And secondly, you only focus on what your eyes can see,
exactly.
right? So maybe if you do certain techniques and practice over and over, maybe it may seem that the client or the student is able to understand how to change, but you're not providing the whys and the context and the reason why change is needed, you
I
know.
think one of the things that is very, very common is that there is a certain standard of what is normal.
Hmm.
And there can be no one standard of normal. I usually give this example that, if you are, a fish going to a school of eagles,
Hmm.
it's not going to be an environment that's going to be flourishing for you, right?
Right.
And it's kind of like, instead of going with that notion that we have to change the person, or we have to completely, bring
Right.
them to a certain standard of normal. I
Correct.
think understanding how they communicate, and then understanding from their communication what is their understanding of what is being communicated would help them, identify that
Mhm.
we are capable of so much more, than
Exactly.
their
Yeah.
presumptions or judgments.
Yeah.
What-
Yeah. And so yeah, so the neurodiversity movement
Yeah.
is is teaching us the social model, of really accepting that everyone's mind
Yeah.
and being is unique and just as valid, that people should learn to be different together
Yes.
because we're all born with differences. Now, I'm not saying that we shouldn't teach autistic kids to meet expectations. Not at all, you know. But I think um, everyone, if you are a parent, of course, you worry when you have a newly diagnosed child. That's understandable. That is your very precious loved ones. But I think you have to overcome the crisis mindset and believe that you can be the parent that you always want to be, and the parent that you can be for this neurodivergent child. And a lot of times, because of that crisis mindset and a deficit model, you actually, by going from this program to that program, this school to that school, working with so many therapeutic professionals, you actually lose your confidence in your ability to listen to your instinct and gut feeling, and really thinking, what is our family identity like? What are important for us to have, as a family, quality of life, because uh, your child doesn't live alone.
Yeah.
We can't get rid of each other, right? So that's actually the first foundation that needs to be um, focused on, is uh, your relationship, and um, figuring out how to best support your child. Because I know this, with a label that comes with the diagnosis, if you don't understand what that means, and if you don't embrace it, the good and the bad, it's going to be tough.
I think you raise an excellent point here.
Hmm.
Number one, I do agree with you that most of the parents feel overwhelmed with the diagnosis, which is very
Yeah.
valid. But
Right.
part of the reason why that happens is because it is an unknown territory for them. And
Sure.
part of the reason why that's happening is because, the concept of neurodivergence or, autism per se
Hmm.
is associated with kids only. So parents do not have
Hmm.
as much access to the people who were diagnosed with autism and now have grown up to be adults. And so
Yes.
the parents need an access to that to see and to be familiar with that territory.
Hmm.
And I think that is going to help them a lot. The second
Yeah.
thing, that I usually kind of highlight is that there has to be a balance. Acceptance has to start at home.
Hmm.
If the children are intelligent, okay, whether they're non-speaking or not, they absorb, they
Right.
understand. And if they are autistic and you have this negative tragic crisis notion about understanding about autism, they're going to perceive themselves as that, and
Hmm.
it is never healthy. It is never healthy for a
Hmm.
person to believe that I am a tragedy. So that
Correct.
that is why I feel like acceptance has to
Right.
be instilled first at home and then moving onwards to.
Yeah. Yeah. I think at uh, self acceptance
Yes.
will definitely help you to self advocate. And
Yes.
self advocacy is going to educate other people around you. And the first part is to really normalize the language of needing support at home, right? Yeah, so that's really important, so that your autistic child will grow up having the vocabulary when they do have sensory burnout, if they're experiencing sensory overload, if they need to stim, if they need to uh, have different ways to understand materials, because that's our mind will always need um, certain accommodations uh, as a neurodivergent person. Yeah.
And I think it's normal to need accommodations.
Hmm.
There is nothing negative about having support needs, and that
Yeah.
has to be, it's very stigmatized, the word disability, and it's not a bad word. It's a very
Right.
normal aspect of being human,
Hmm.
needing support. We are all humans. So,
Correct.
one of the things, our session might extend a little bit because I really want you to talk about this better community sensory inclusive certification in detail, because
Sure.
I believe this is really important to have in all the businesses and community organizations around us. So tell us about that, what that
Hmm.
is, and
Yeah.
how it helps.
Yeah. So this project came about because I run two Instagram accounts, one for parents of autistic kids under my name at Maisie Soetantyo, and then of course the other one for the nonprofit work is at Autism Career Pathways. I launched a survey last year to ask everyone, my followers, what would be helpful when you're out and about in the community? How can community spaces help you to be able to feel more comfortable, to have a much more positive experiences when you have to do grocery shopping, if you need a break and you want to like go to a cafe with your autistic child and so on. And from both sides, it was very clear that actually people who are autistic and parents who have autistic kids, especially the more impacted their conditions are, if they have more um, challenging sensory processing difficulties, very hypersensitive to sounds, light, smell, and so on, and a lot of crowds and so on. It's very difficult to go out. They don't want to go out because it's a big production. They have to prepare. And then if you have parents of little kids, chances are your child will have a meltdown. So it's a problem. So based on this survey, I created the Better Community Sensory Inclusive project because I want to help businesses who don't know anything about autism to become more neurodivergent friendly. So that's in a nutshell the idea behind Better Community. Oh, hi there.
I'm sorry. He
It's
just got
okay.
everyone. I am here with my son today, and he
Yeah.
got anxious that I was why was I in a room without him for so long. So
Oh,
if
that's
you see
okay.
him,
That's okay.
we'll just say hi. He won't bother. So
That's okay. Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah. So the process of getting certified, it's actually very simple. You just email me, Macy at autismcareerpathways.org, and then you'll be given a list of very easy and interesting, engaging resources to learn about three things. What is autism? What is sensory differences, and what are communication differences? So just those three areas. So my team who created this, we were a team of parents, neurodivergent adults. We have neurodivergent occupational therapies in there, non-speaking people, someone with mobility restrictions, as well as a Black autistic community member. So everyone came together and worked on these resources for almost 6 months. So we created something that I think would be meaningful and interesting. It's very important to me that it's interesting and engaging. And you go through the resources, it's short videos or one-page summary, on these three areas. And if you have any questions, you ask the questions. And when you're done with that, we give you a downloadable Better Community best practices list. So you can put it out and you can use it to walk around your business space. So it has a sensory accommodation and checklist. So yeah, so then the businesses just use it to think about, are there anything we can do within our physical space to make it more neurodivergent friendly? Maybe turn down the background noise, maybe add uh, a
Mia.
photo based icon menu, and so on. Yes. Hi. It's okay.
Okay, let Mama.
What do you want it to be?
All right, can you say hi to everyone? Say hi.
Hello.
So, one of the things with that is, Macy, and I wanted to kind of touch base with you on that as well, that once a business gets sensory
Mia, I
inclusive.
never got a lot of diamonds in my singing monsters.
Okay.
Oh, I love diamonds.
That's like 3750 diamonds.
Okay, we
Aw.
can talk about that when Mama's done with her meeting, okay? Can you be nice and patient?
What's my price?
Okay, your prize is going to be the diamonds in the My Singing Monsters, okay?
What's my what's my
So
what's my
sorry.
price?
It's okay. Don't
What's my
apologize. Yeah, so I'll just continue. So once you use the checklist, you decide what accommodations your business can implement at this point, and then you show us. We do an Instagram live or online walkthrough. If you're local to me, I love to visit your business. And then you receive a Windows sticker and a shout out on our social media platforms, and you're added into the list of Better Community certified for your state. So that's the process.
Thank you so much, Macy, for
Yeah,
being
no
with me.
worries, no worries.
I mean, okay, well, yeah. So that, with that being said,
Mhm.
can you tell me that why, from a business's perspective or from a neurotypical perspective, why do businesses need it?
Why do businesses need? What are you getting by getting certified? You're actually providing a better universal and customer experience by getting sensory inclusive certified. It means that you will have the language to speak to a neurodivergent, maybe a non-speaking person who come in and they need extra help to be able to choose, products from your store. Uh, you will know how to support someone, a parent whose child might be experiencing a meltdown at your store. So you will have influx of neurodivergent people coming to your store, because autistic people, once they like a product or a store, we are very, very loyal, because we tend to just we tend to repeat positive experiences, because if it's not positive, it's very hard for us to recover from it. It becomes traumatizing, if you want to call it that. So there's so many autistic adults who are actually just do it online instead of going out and actually being able to choose and shop, at the physical space, right? So, you will be able to get an influx of neurodivergent people, parents, and autistic adults, and other people, other shops, other business spaces will follow you. You will be a great role model, because you're going to be able to show that it doesn't actually cost a lot at all to learn about neurodivergence and becoming a better neurodivergent friendly spaces, right? And yeah, and also every human being has a sensory profile. You
Yes.
probably have already someone who might have ADHD, someone who has mental health issues. There's so many neurodivergent people in our community. They just have not told you about it, right? So by getting trained, you're creating a universal design, a universal and better supported workplaces for your own neurodivergent employees. A safer place for everyone to support each other. Yeah.
I think one of the important things here for organizations and businesses to understand is that by being more inclusive and accepting through, understanding those sensory needs and providing for those sensory needs,
Yeah.
they are giving the message that, this is your own place. And so
Yeah.
people, whether they are employees
Yeah.
or customers or visitors, they're not going to see it as an outside organization. They're going to
Yeah.
relate to it internally. And
Right.
we
Right.
have a lot of wonderful organizations here in Texas, and I'm sure, where you are as well, who are completely on board with, making their services and their
Yeah.
offices more inclusive for people.
Yeah.
But we also have some organizations who, are yet not aware of the importance of
Right.
this. And with this session, I would like to invite everyone,
Mhm.
if you view this session and you know someone who has a business, there
Yeah.
is a community organization near you, a
Mhm.
library, a community center, even a park or something like that, your favorite ice cream store.
Correct.
It can be anything. You can reach out to them and you can tell them that, this is a way you can be more inclusive. This is a way you can be more accessible. This
Yeah.
is a way you can support the neurodivergent individuals. And,
Correct.
explaining that to them and giving them this resource is an excellent way to move towards that path of empowering
Mhm.
autistic and otherwise neurodivergent individuals as well.
Yes. Correct.
So
Yes.
I'm sorry, I was a little, dazed out with my son over there, but did
That's
you
all right.
already go through the steps of how people can apply
Yes.
for the certification?
Yes. I
Okay.
did.
All right.
And you will get recognition, on our social media platform, and a window sticker to put on your business entry, and that alone will generate more conversation. Hey, what does that mean to be better community certified? So we need. That's how it's a a small effort, I think, to go through
It's
this.
not
Yeah.
small, Macy. It's
Yeah.
anything but small. Trust
I
me.
hope
What I
so.
like about is that there is no one way of being neurodivergent. And what I like
Correct.
about this is that you have a team of different types of neurodivergent individuals
Hmm.
coming from diverse backgrounds,
Yeah.
diverse cultures. And
Yeah.
so I believe that this is as thorough as it gets. Just
Yeah.
one last question about
Hmm.
this is that when people do get certified,
Yeah.
now there are, it's so it grows, right? Sensory needs differ, they grow, solutions differ,
Right.
different solutions are provided with time. Is there going to be anything periodically or, you know, monthly or something like that, to update these certifications or kind of like?
No, not. That's why we are doing fundraising, because right now it's just me running this,
Okay.
and we are currently doing our first fundraising campaign because we need so much help and more work. We have to roll this out a lot quicker,
Yeah.
because it takes a while to convince businesses, and I can, at this point, I can only do one business at a time.
Yeah.
So but I think when we have funding, we can definitely have more ambassadors where we can provide them with printout materials or swag and really talk to people face to face and be able to explain why this sensory being sensory inclusive would be good for their business and what it means to the neurodivergent community. So yeah, so people can donate through autism career pathways .org website. They can also connect their Amazon through to Amazon Smile for Autism Career Pathways. All the links is on both of my Instagram accounts profile.
I usually, when I do live videos, I ask
Mhm.
people for support for kind theory, but today I'm not going to do that. I'm going to
Oh,
ask support for autism career pathways and your current project of certification, because I believe it is that important. So,
well, thank
I
you.
I would like to reach out to all the members who will see this video later or who are accessing this video right now. If you have friends, reach out to them. If you know of any businesses who are trying to get into, a social, corporate social responsibility and want to
Hmm.
support an organization, this is it. This is
Yeah,
how you can, make that step towards acceptance,
yeah,
building, making this world a kinder place for
yeah,
everyone. It all comes down to the basic principles of being kind and accepting and
exactly.
having empathy. So I want everyone to come together and reach out to whoever they know, whether there are local businesses that they can
Hmm.
recommend this certification to. And correct me if I'm wrong, Macy, does it cost any thing for, for a business to implement these practices or get access to the certification?
Yes, there is a minimum amount of donation,
Okay.
suggested amount of donation, which is tax deductible for businesses.
Okay.
We are eventually is going to have like tiered type of certification with different amount of training. At this point, it doesn't cost very much because I
Okay.
just want businesses to step up and be able to show what they're doing, and it's
Yes.
empowering for them, right? I don't want to spell out how to add accommodations. Everyone has to implement it in the way that they can sustain it for a long time, and you'll just keep adding, neurodivergent friendly events and so on. Yes, so that's the plan.
That is amazing. And I would like to highlight here, everyone, that once you kind of, get on board with this, know that your support for these organizations, for this project, is going to open avenues for more training.
Yeah.
Knowing Macy, she has done so much and she will continue to do wonders through this
Yes.
and through her upcoming projects. He is
Correct.
worried about how he is behaving, so he's knocking on the door and asking me, how am I?
I
So
know. So
anyway,
cute.
you are doing very well, Omar. Thank you.
That's so cute.
Very good. Okay, so I'm just gonna wrap it up now.
Uh-huh.
I would just request everyone once again, if you have any questions about how you can get involved, you
Uh-huh.
can reach out to Macy through autismcareerpathways.org.
Mm-hmm.
And they have an Instagram handle for Better Community Sensory Inclusive
No,
certification
it's
as well.
actually Better Community Certified is
Certified.
our
Okay.
Instagram
All right.
handle. Yeah.
So you can directly reach out to her by clicking the message button on there
Yeah.
as well. And if for some reason you're unable to, you can always message me or email me
Yeah.
through our website kindtheory.org, and I will be able to connect you to her. Macy, it was really really nice talking to you, and I'll see you on Instagram shortly. If any of
Yeah.
you
Thank
are
you
at
so much.
Instagram, we'll be
Yeah.
going live for little bit of time on Instagram to kind of let everyone know about our Instagram following about this video and how to access it. And Macy, just really, really quickly,
Uh,
can you tell us about your YouTube channel, because I believe
yes.
there's some important stuff on there.
Yeah, Autism Career Pathways is our YouTube handle. And that's where we put interviews with autistic individuals about their career journeys. So, for families with teen or youth autistic people, that's where you go if you want to have conversations about the future and, follow other role models, autistic people. So,
And
that's where you
I
go.
think that is important because that gives parents of children, an aspect, a view from an autistic adult's point of view. So they kind
Right.
of develop an understanding of what's next for my child.
Yep.
So,
And yeah, correct. And so our social media platforms are a very safe place. There's like no drama there. There's no need for that because
yes.
we're in this ship together. We need to keep moving forward instead of wasting time to,
Yeah, we're
police
not working
each
against
other.
each other. We're working
Exactly.
with each
Exactly.
other for the same
Absolutely.
cause.
Yes.
So, thank you so much, everyone. For those of you who will be viewing this later, please feel free to leave out comments, questions, and we'll try our best to get to them as soon as possible. And Macy, I'll see you in a bit on Instagram. Take
All
care.
right. Well, thank
Bye.
you. Bye bye.